3 things to understand in order for you to use your time and energy effectively and get results. This video is brought to you by Thrive Together. It's a free community where I teach these lessons live, personally, on my Discord server, and I give my personal time to answer all your questions at the end of it. If you want to join in and get personal time with me and my community of experts and coaches, click the link in the description below to apply for membership. Big success is made up of small successes. Many people have big dreams, they have long-term thinking, but at the end of the day, we must start somewhere. This is a trap that many people fall into because to the brain, visualizing something as done is a dopamine hit. It makes you feel good inside. If you fall into the trap of getting addicted to that feel-good feeling, you may end up constantly talking, but never really actually getting anything done. Unless you actually start doing something, nothing is gonna materialize no matter how much manifestation work that you have done. In other words, we must turn hid knowledge into actionable steps, and we must turn actionable steps into quantifiable metrics and behavior, a checklist that is reviewed on a day-to-day basis or weekly basis, something that you can track. What gets measured gets managed. Your daily successes will determine what kind of weekly success you get, and that will determine what kind of monthly success you get, and your monthly successes will determine what kind of yearly successes you get, which ultimately determine the overall big picture success that you want to create. So how you spend your time on a day-to-day basis is extremely important. But what kind of goals should we set? What kind of things can we do on a day-to-day basis that can be considered a check-off, that can be considered a success? To understand that, you need to understand asset versus activities. There are 2 kinds of actions that we need to produce on a regular basis: activity and assets. So activities are what I call income generating activities, whereas asset are time generating activities. When it comes to building a business, you must have a balanced mix of both. Income generating activities involve things like sowing and tilling, which I explained in previous videos before, enrollment calls. It also involves having meetings, meeting up with potential collaborators, potential clients, potential supporters, all of that stuff. Some examples of assets involves market research, involves clarifying your product market fit. It also involves learning specific key knowledges. Now, activities are stuff that you keep doing, that you have to keep doing no matter what. For the rest of your career, you got to keep doing. Or at the very least, for the foreseeable future, you must keep doing it. Whereas assets are stuff that you only need to do once, but somehow it will serve you long term. Having said that, there are also many unuseful assets too, which you gotta always manage. Now, here is the thing though. In terms of creating assets versus activity, let's put this axis here as assets and over here as activities. If you have low asset and you have low activity, that means no time producing assets, no income generating activities, the consequence is that you'll be broke and burn out. And if you are someone who is constantly working very, very hard to produce income generating activities, you are going to see some measure of results. However, that measure of results will plateau very, very fast. So plateau is a consequence when you are constantly producing income generating activities but never pay any attention to producing assets that will help you create time. It is actually such an important thing for you to create time for yourself. Every single day you must put some amount of energies and some amount of time to invest into creating assets so that in the long run you would have more time for yourself, your family, and also working on your business. This is what many people call working on your business versus working in your business. In terms of the asset, if somebody gets lost and they're constantly working on building asset, but they never really pay any attention to income generating activities, what they're gonna experience is a low income. So the golden zone over here is when you are producing high number of asset generating actions and you are also producing high number of income generating activities. And it is only when you are here will you experience true progress. In a nutshell, you must spend time on both income generating activities and time generating activities in a proper ratio. You must use your best judgment to decide or ask for feedback based on your situation. Bottom line is, no matter what, there must be some percentage of your time spent on income generating activities and some percentage of your time spent on time generating activities. Point number 2 is where focus goes, energy flows. Are you managing your energy? The enemy of your business is not your competitors. The enemy of your business is not the government, it is not the economy. There are 5 main enemies in your business. The first enemy is shiny object syndrome. There is always a better way, there is always some better tool, there's always something that will get me faster. That is the first enemy. And new entrepreneurs fall into this trap all the time. Why? Because marketers are constantly everywhere trying to get you to buy their stuff. They are constantly promising you that this course will accelerate your progress. That course will accelerate your progress. This course, that program, that blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, if you spend as much time as I did to go and explore all of these different courses, spending so much money, you realize that most of these marketing courses and most of these business courses are pretty much talking about pretty much the same thing. In fact, I will be upfront and honest with you. Many of the things that I teach, with the exception of certain things which I personally came up with, are basically regurgitations. It's just that I regurgitate it in a way that makes sense, there's a flow to it. When you guys fall into the trap of shiny object syndrome, you will find yourself paying a lot of money, paying a lot of time, paying a lot of effort to go to all these courses only to learn and relearn the exact same stuff, getting pumped a little bit, getting a little bit of motivation to sustain you for several days before your motivation dies down. So be careful of shiny objects trying to creep itself into your mind to take your focus away. The second enemy is perfectionism. Your perfectionism actually comes from a place of insecurity because there is a certain need and desire to ensure that your work is received well, when in fact there is really no such thing. You actually kind of have to do something to accomplish minimal objective, put it out there and see what happens. Many people, they confuse excellence with perfectionism because they think that I need to do it well, I need to do it right. But the opposite is actually true. You kind of need to perfect it over time. So you come up with something, you put it out there, see what happens, you take the feedback, iterate it again, put it out there again, and repeat the cycle, and always constantly seeing what you need to learn, what is in there that you can learn. Perfectionism is not okay. Perfectionism is the enemy, is a very big enemy of progress. And so instead of perfectionism, what I would like to introduce for you guys is progressionism. Do the minimum amount of work possible in order to accomplish the objective. Don't try to get it to be ideal. Do something, proceed, see what happens, learn from the mistakes, and repeat and reiterate. The third enemy of progress is distractions. Distractions comes in the form of YouTube. It comes in the form of Netflix. It comes in the form of friends' calls. It comes in the form of a mistaken interpretation of self-care. Many people interpret self-care as spas and massages and all of that stuff, resting, more and more resting. But in fact, based on my observation, what is really happening is that there are many people who are doing that because they are unclear. There's no clarity. They may not be sure exactly what is going on in their life. They may not be sure what they need to be doing in their business. I do not know. There are many possible reasons. But we must be careful not to mistake self-care with distractions. You might think that going over there to rest, to play for a while is a very legitimate reason to take care of yourself. But is it really true though? Is it really true that you need to spend more time to rest? Or perhaps is it that the reason why you are not doing stuff is because you're procrastinating? Or could it be perfectionism? Are you spending time on urgent but unimportant things because you are not clear of what is it that you are really needing to do? Whenever distractions come and you find yourself getting distracted to do all kinds of unrelated and unimportant things, it is actually a sign for you to look within yourself and ask, like, what is going on over here? It is a signal by your body and by your mind telling you that there is something over there that you need to take a look at. Why are you getting distracted? Something for you to think about. The fourth enemy is unclear personal priorities. We all have family. We all have our personal life. We all have our relationships. We all have so many things. And one of the biggest problems that new entrepreneurs facing is when you are being employed by someone, you are held accountable by your paycheck. But when you are self-employed, you are your own boss. So you have to be the person who manages your own personal priorities. And that sense of freedom that you feel when you are just beginning is not really true freedom. It is actually just you exercising your newfound powers to go and do certain things which may or may not be the most important things right now. So you must be very clear of what exactly your personal priorities are. For what are you in this business for? Having very clear personal priorities will tell you how much time you should be spending for your business, and how much time you should be spending for your family, and how much time should you be spending on yourself. Be very clear, because you cannot do everything. It is just impossible. There is no such thing as multitasking. There are certain times in a business, especially when you're at the start, before your systemization happens, before you are able to hire other people, before you're able to outsource, that certain small amounts of radical imbalance is absolutely necessary. Sometimes it happens. We are not looking for it, but sometimes it happens. When it happens, we have to be ready for it. We have to be clear. If I have to decide what to prioritize, I must know exactly what I will be putting my time on. And finally, the last enemy of business, unclear business priorities. Do you know what asset is most important for you to build right now? Do you know what kind of income generating activities must you be doing right now, today, tomorrow, this week, this month? It is very important that you are extremely clear of all of that. If you're not clear, ask your coach, ask your trainer, get feedback, do reflection, think, do your head work, and also do your hard work. It is very, very important that you understand and be very, very clear what are your business priorities. So these 5 things: shiny object, perfectionism, distraction, unclear personal priorities, and unclear business priorities, these enemies will distract you. They will fragment your focus. And when they fragment your focus, they will fragment your energy. When your energy is fragmented, you will find yourself constantly spending a lot of time trying to juggle many, many different things, but without seeing any form of clear results in terms of your business. So to really handle all of this, I will introduce to you point number 3, which is a concept called 20-mile march. It is popularized by Jim Collins inside his book, Great by Choice. You see, back when humanity was still trying to conquer the Antarctic, there were 2 teams that were sent. Both of these teams are equally balanced in terms of their skill set, their manpower, and their leadership. And their supply and their funding, everything is pretty much balanced. There is only one main big difference though. One team adopt a strategy whereby if the weather is good, they're gonna march longer. Whereas if the weather is bad or if conditions are bad, they say that they're gonna hunker down, they're gonna go into their tents and they're gonna rest until the storm passes, and then they're gonna resume when the day comes again. Now, the other team actually have a completely different approach and strategy. They say that no matter what comes, whether it is heavy winds or pleasant weather, they are gonna march 20 miles a day, no matter what, 20 miles a day. They're gonna focus on doing just that. Bad weather, 20 miles. Good weather, 20 miles. And guess what happens? At the end of each expedition, the person that says, I'm gonna march longer under good weather and march less under bad weather, people died in that expedition and they have to cancel it, they have to call it off, they went back home. Whereas the expedition that had the strategy of 20-mile march, they became the first people on Earth to conquer the Antarctic. You see, outcomes and environment factors are never in our control. We can never control what the government does. We can never control what the world is what is happening around the world. Even our results is not within our control. The only thing we can really control is ourselves. We can control our behavior and we can control how we respond. So if we have the idea that, okay, I'm gonna see how it goes. If situations are great, then I will do more work. If situations are not great, then I'm going to do less work. What's going to happen is that when things are great, something else is going to happen, right? This happens all the time, right? Distractions coming in, all kinds of reasons start to come in, and we just stop producing. But if let's say we make a commitment to ourselves that no matter come hail or high water, no matter what happens in our day, we're going to produce a minimum set of behaviors. We're going to produce a minimum set of actions. And when we are able to stay consistent with it, no matter what, our success becomes inevitable. So set a minimum daily behavioral goals, daily action goals that you can accomplish, whether it is a good or bad weather. The main message, to summarize all of these things, the main message that I'm trying to get over to you is consistency trumps brilliance. Many people like to produce something amazing, but without any level of consistency, that amazing work is not going to amount to anything, because success doesn't care about how amazing or how intense your success is if it happens only just once in a while. It is made up of small incremental progresses. It is made up of small little things that you do on a day-to-day basis, weekly basis, monthly basis. That's why success is hard. Or rather, that's why success is rare. That's why so many people fail or so many people give up, because the mindset is not there. The mindset is that when it's good, I'm gonna go because I want to flow. There's no such thing. Flowing is different from floating. We must make sure that we have enough commitment to do what it takes to hit the bare minimum every single day, right? And having a daily and a weekly KPI allows you to track and measure your small successes. And when you're able to see this way, you are able to see how you are showing up rather than how you think you are showing up or how you wish you are showing up. It allows you to be honest to yourself. It allows you to be true to yourself. So consistency trumps brilliance. Consistency is much more important over intensity. Don't be that kind of person who is constantly working very, 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 very hard to produce one starburst of action, followed by burnout, followed by a lot of regret and guilt, followed by repeat of the scenario. Don't be that person. Be the kind of person who is constantly stepping up to put in the commitment and the consistency. Be the person who earns the success. And if you are committed, if you're truly committed to producing these small little actions day by day, I believe if we are the kind of person that produces the small little actions day by day, that gets our daily successes, our success is inevitable.